Hopefully, not in a minute.
Welcome back to my official YouTube channel. This is Gaurav Ayaan, and I have been joined by none other than my friend Lucas, and we will be discussing today about that Pakistan versus England series, which the first one day has recently finished yesterday. We will be discussing about that, and we will definitely be discussing about the new dates which have been scheduled for India versus Sri Lanka series. So, Lucas. Welcome back to my show, mate. How are you? I hope you are fine.
Thank you. I'm very good. Yesterday I had a sore throat, but I'm ready to go today as always.
So, for the viewers, we will try to schedule we will try to give him the information about the rescheduled dates of India versus Sri Lanka series first. Then we will be discussing about Pakistan versus England series. Okay, that will be okay. And the rescheduled dates, guys, for India versus Sri Lanka series. That first one day will be starting on 17th of July. Second ODI will be starting from 19th of July. Third ODI will be starting from 21st July. And the Lucas favorite T20 series will start from 24th of July. Second T20 will start from 25th July. And the third T20 will start from 27th of July. The rescheduled date has come because of I think there are Sri Lankan camp who got corona positive, and that's the reason that the dates have been rescheduled. So, Lucas, what's your take on that? Because
Yeah,
you have seen, I think you have seen that probably England players were also corona positive. Four of the England staff and three of the players. And recently, Sri Lankan batting coach, I think
yeah,
Andy Flower, Grant Flower got corona
yeah,
positive, and that's the reason of rescheduled dates. Go ahead.
yeah. Well, it all started, with England, and their players testing positive. Half their team, tested positive. As you said, not just players but coaching staff, and they've been in their bubble for a while now during this series against Pakistan. Then Sri Lanka, their batting coach Grant Flower, he gets it. So he's been placed in a isolation. I'm pretty sure he'll be kept away from that
And I
team.
think analyst is also a positive. Uh,
Yes,
Go
Grant
ahead.
Flower has. Yeah, Grant Flower has tested positive. So hopefully they've kept him away from the main squad, because we don't want to see what happened with England when they lost all their players. They had to bring in some reserve players.
Exactly.
We don't want to see that with Sri Lanka, because they're short-handed as it is. And they won't have the luxury of bringing in players, straight off the bat, compared to England, who have been playing in their T20 domestic league, the Blast, the Big Blast.
Yeah, network
So
T20 blast.
yeah, so Sri Lanka don't have that luxury. If half their squad gets out of gets positive for COVID, they're going to probably have to forfeit
Yep.
that tour. So let's hope that doesn't come to that. Let's hope it's just a one-off incident. So far today, I've heard it's just a one-off incident. No other players in that bubble have tested positive for COVID. So hopefully it stays that way. And if it does, hopefully we can have a good series between India. And also, it affects India as well, because they've been preparing for this ODI series against Sri Lanka, and
Yeah,
for that
they
to
are
be
testing the details in this series.
yeah, if that gets postponed, that's a missed opportunity for the Indian players who are excited to play cricket in this
Yeah.
series. Because with all the cricket, with all the isolations, bubbles you have to go in, they just want to play cricket. They'll be very excited to get out of the bubble, to get onto the pitch, and play ODI cricket. So let's hope the South African players, the Sri Lankan players, do not test positive. So far was a good day. Just the batting coach, so he's been separated from the players, and let's hope we
And
can get a
and
series.
analyst also is a positive, which
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
got to know
the
from some other side.
yeah the the Sri Lanka analyst has got to know inside, but as we know, well, as I'm aware, there is no Sri Lanka players that have tested positive for COVID, which is a good thing. So at this point, they have moved the dates, just to give a little bit of leeway in case something does happen. because
Yeah.
we don't want a series going underway and Sri Lanka players have tested positive and that infects India players, and then the whole Test series against England could be in jeopardy.
No, but most of the main players are already in England. It's
Mm-hmm.
opportunity for the new players, the new young gun cricketers who are making way through the domestic cricket by performing by performing very good in domestic cricket, and also played a wonderful some knocks in T20 IPL. So they had a very good opportunity to play with Sri Lanka. And don't forget, this is the last series. This is the last probably T20 series that will be happening before the T20 World Cup, because I don't think India will be playing too much of a T20 cricket
Yep.
apart from the IPL, because they are having a packed schedule. Don't forget that they will be after that this Sri Lanka series they will be having an England tour, right? That there will be 5 test matches,
Yep.
and after that
Yep.
I think
Yep.
IPL will be happening, and they will go straight on to the T20 World Cup. So there is no much of a T20 cricket, the international cricket that will be happening.
I
Go
think I
ahead.
think the good I think the good thing for India, I think the IPL will move to the UAE,
Yeah,
which is the same venue for the T20 World Cup. So India probably do not have to go anywhere now. They're probably going to have to stay a little bit longer in UAE compared to anybody else. Because they've got so much players that play in the IPL,
yeah,
and it's not just Indian players. It's also Australian players. Yet they probably won't play in the likes of Steve Smith, Warner, and
yeah.
such won't play. But other players that other teams that are based on T20 cricket, they've got players in the IPL. That would have to self-isolate. They would have to stay a little bit longer away from their families, and it can be a little bit difficult. Now, going back to the Sri Lanka COVID scare, we have to remember that they've also got players that have been sent home because of security breaches. We saw
Yeah, the
Katie
three Sri
Man.
Lankan players got banned also
Yep,
in, for 1 year.
yep,
So that
yeah,
was a totally different topic. And one more topic I need to mention that one more point I need to mention, because look, you were already mentioning that India has an advantage. They will be playing IPL also, but don't forget that playing in the IPL and playing in the international cricket is totally different thing. Uh, Probably they would have played more T20 cricket before leading to the IPL or maybe T20 World Cup. They could have find the more balanced team, and they could have find more of the T20 cricketer who can be eligible for India cricket, because there is only one series happening, that is right now, that is Sri Lanka series, and there are a lot of young cricketers who wants to make a comeback for Indian cricket team, likes of Surya Kumar Yadav and Ishan Kishan. They will be definitely in the T20 World Cup, but for Prithvi Shaw, Shikhar Dhawan, and for Bhuvneshwar Kumar, they need some international match practice, because look, Bhuvneshwar Kumar is already coming out of from injury, and we don't know for how long he's gonna play in the IPL also, because he's on injury fatigue, right? And for Shikhar Dhawan, he also needs to perform on the
mm,
T20 international cricket, because
mm.
his place in T20 international probably is always been on the question mark. Lucas.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important for that Sri Lanka series to go ahead, because
Yeah,
it give these young kids, match simulation. You can train hours and hours in the nets. You can train hours in practice games, but you will never get better than match practice. And that's
yeah,
what basically these international games against Sri Lanka will be. It's to gain practice before the World Cup, and that's why it's just more crucial that hopefully none of these Sri Lanka players tested positive for COVID. We can get a good series going on. We can get a competitive series going on, and
yeah,
it'd be good for these Indian players that you just mentioned. They can, and at the end of the series, the T20 players can go off. They can go back to the UAE or India or wherever they're probably going to go. If they go to the UAE, at least those players will be used to the pitches, they'll be used to the conditions, they're used to the humidity, and I think mostly India, they'll have a big advantage going into this World Cup because of those conditions, because the IPL will be placed in there, and I think they'll be one of the favourites for that T20 World Cup.
and you have already mentioned that they have advanced slightly advantage. we have understood that there is a slightly advantage there because the most of the team will be definitely in the UAE.
Mm,
There is also a disadvantage on that because if somebody gets injured, okay, and and there is a lot of a difference between the dates in T20 World Cup and IPL. So they, if any player gets injured, he could
mm.
be out for the whole T20 World Cup. So there is a big disadvantage of that also.
Yeah, and it's not just injury. If a player tested positive, that's the end of his
Yeah,
IPL and possibly T20 World Cup as well. Because they are short stacked. A broken finger can put you out of the game. A hamstring strain can put you out of the other two tournaments. And
yeah,
also, with it, if the Indian in Sri Lanka series can't go ahead, players will get more injured because they haven't had that match conditions. They haven't played, for a very long time. And, that's why this series is also very important. Just get miles into the legs, get them fit, get them ready. Results probably don't matter. Obviously, you'd
yeah,
like
yeah.
to see your own players win, your own players perform. These young players perform really well, but it's just to get match practice. And like I said, you can practice all in the nets for hours and hours. It does not matter until you actually play a game and get those practice matches in your legs, get them build up, get fit, and get ready and get firing for the IPL and the T20 World Cup.
And one more point I want to discuss with this, just for 2 minutes before we heading towards our next topic, Pakistan versus Sri Lanka series, Pakistan versus England series. One more point I want to make it that is biosecure bubble safe now for players? Will they believe they are safe in a biosecure bubble? Because we have seen once, I think first it started from the South Africa series. Once England was playing in South Africa, right? There was a biosecure bubble breach. Then it moved from PSL. Everybody was shouting that why this happening with the bicycle bubble, they can't afford it, and they make a plenty of excuses, and the foreign media have bashed every Asian conditions that they can't able to make a secure biosecure bubble. IPL happened after that. IPL was also rescheduled, and IPL got also affected because of biosecure bubble breach. So it is happening in England right now, and that was, it is not a big tournament that held in England right now. I think it was just a what you call a bilateral series that where two team
Yes.
was involved, and that
Yep.
was a big issue where the player can't trust in biosecure bubble that we are currently safe right now. So what's your take on that?
Well, we've
And,
seen
and one
nations
more
like
thing,
us.
Lucas, sorry, and nobody bashed England media or even them because it's a big issue. The biosecure bubble breach is a big issue, and why this is happening. If same thing happens in India or even Pakistan or even in Sri Lanka, everybody gets bashed. Their media or their boards. Why this is happening right now? So why don't England board and media, they are bashing on their players or even on their board? Go ahead.
Well, some personalities in the media are quite pig-headed. You know,
Yeah,
they think, oh well, I don't want to anger the English population. I know there are a lot of viewers that watch this channel, but I think
yeah,
they're very pig-headed. They think they're untouchable. They think, oh, because it happens, in Sri Lanka, Pakistan, India, it won't happen here. It's untouchable. And when it does
yeah,
happen here, they sweep it under the carpet. They don't want to face the music. They don't want to face consequences. They
yeah,
don't want to be slandered in the paper. Now, regarding is it safe? We've seen Australia pull out of 2 tours because they don't want to go into self-isolation. They pulled out of the Bangladesh tour. It was supposed to be a
yeah.
two-test series. And then in
South Africa.
February, March, they pulled out of the South Africa too because they weren't guaranteed safety as other nations probably would. Now that same year, those same months, we saw Sri Lanka go to South Africa. Go under the
Yeah,
same restrictions. So there are some countries that are very hesitant of doing it, and there are some that are quite welcome up to it. It's a day by day thing. With nations if they want to. Now Australia can afford to probably pull out of these tours because they've got the money, while Sri Lanka, they cannot afford to pull out of these tours. They have.
yeah,
That's why they probably agreed. Yes, we're going to go under these strike conditions in South Africa. So also
yeah,
once again, money takes it in consideration because they do not want to lose that money. Now, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're still in a pandemic. There are still countries that are getting their third wave. In Australia, there are some states that are getting locked down. So, even with vaccinations, there's still a pandemic. And these
Yep.
things are going to happen. It's not going to be 100% foolproof. What we can do is make sure when it does happen, how quickly are we going to isolate it? How quickly are we going to make sure it doesn't spread from person to person? And how likely can we get back to the way it was after a person has been affected?
Okay, it's done, and now we are moving on to the next topic. So, Pakistan versus England series, you have watched that. So, what happened with Pakistan, man? Because everybody was expecting they will take out on this B England B team or England C team, but what happened to them?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. This was supposed to be a very weak England team,
Yep,
especially in their bowling department. They lost
yeah.
all their ODI players, their World Cup players. They lost Oren Morgan. The batting still remained very strong. But again, the luxury for them is they had the T20 Blast, which is still currently going. So
Yeah.
they could pick players straight out of the white ball cricket and put them into that team. Now, we've seen, trying to think of his name, Mahmood.
Yeah,
Picked up a
Sakib
first
Mahmood.
wicket on his first wicket of his first ball. Then Babar
Yeah,
Azam came in. He's for some reason been horribly out of form. He didn't really impress me in the Zimbabwe series either. He went out in
yeah.
the second ball, and basically Pakistan never recovered from that moment. Now Fakar Azam, shed some resistance, and Shadad Khan hit some resistance. Fakar Azam, he hit six fours.
Focus Zaman.
He was the only really one that really stood up along with Shadad Khan, who hit a couple of boundaries in his innings. But the damage was done in literally the first over, where Mahmood, took out of who's the opener?
Imamul Haq and Babar
Inzaman
Azam.
Awak. Inzamam
Imamul
Iman,
Haq.
sorry. Yep. Took
Imamul
out
Haq.
him, and then Babar's arm left it in the second ball. They never recovered from that, and this is very disappointing from Pakistan because, they had a great opportunity. Now, the series is not lost. They had a very
Yeah.
good opportunity to, dominate this series. And unfortunately, Babar Azam, who's the leader, he's got a very impressive average, the cricket. He's been out of form for a while now, and that's a huge problem, not just for this series, but going into the T20 World Cup for Pakistan as well.
And don't forget that Fakhar Zaman was also in very good nick in South Africa series. Also, he was probably
Yeah,
the leading scorer
yeah.
in that, and he's carrying his form here also, and that's a big advantage for Pakistan cricket right now because I think if you see the players from Pakistan cricket, there will be only two standout players who can bat for a very long period of time. I think the one name is definitely Babar Azam, and the second is Mohammad Rizwan. Is completely a different kind of player. He has involved in 2-3 months because for if you see him 2-3 months back, he was never been considered as a T20 specialist or
No,
ODI specialist, but he has been involved very good and he is performing very well. So two of the players who will be definitely stand out for Pakistan and Fakhar Zaman obviously is in very good touch. And what happened because as you said, once Babar Azam and Imamul Haq got out in the first over or second over, whatever it was, they never recovered. They never thought we can score even it is 220 or 250. We have the bowling and we have the luxury to we can bolt out this England B or C team under 150 or 200.
yeah. Well, like I said, it was a missed opportunity. Mahmood was absolutely fantastic. No one's expected that. No one expected him, to take 2 wickets in his first over.
Yep.
Um, and when Pakistan, with Azam did build some momentum, then there was a horrible run out with Chris Rokes, who made a
Sorry, Sakib
who
Mahmood.
who
Fakhar
got
Zaman, Sakib Mahmood. Sorry, Sakib Mahmood
yeah,
wasn't there. I think Mahmood, I'm forgetting his name actually. Yeah, Mahmood was there.
yep,
Shoaib
yeah.
Maqsood,
So
Shoaib Maqsood is his name. Sorry, Shoaib Maqsood is
yeah,
his name.
so they got it. So they look to be growing some momentum, but then another mix up, farcical, which happens a lot in Pakistan cricket with
Yeah.
run outs. And then once again, they really never recovered. Now, Shaddad Khan, did play some resistance late in the lower order, but the damage was absolutely done. And they just did not get a total high enough to make their bowlers defend. New Zealand's batting, England's batting, that's a very strength of theirs in white ball cricket. They had to get wickets early. They got Salt out for 7. But Milan and Zach Crawley, who's had a really rough time with red ball cricket,
Yeah. And
found
don't
some.
forget that Jack Kohli has the a tendency to score a big runs against Pakistan team. He has just scored a double hundred in Test match. Once
Yeah.
again, he got the opportunity in the white ball cricket against Pakistan, and he made it count.
Well, he hit 7 fours. He was fantastic. His form in that
Yeah.
Test series was horrible. He couldn't make a run. And Milan, has made a career out of white ball cricket. He hit 8 fours also. And in Pakistan were sadly never in this this game, and they need to perform big time in the second game, or otherwise they've lost the series. And those players are up to Baba Azam. He's, like I said, he's been horribly out of form, and he needs to step up. He claims that he's one of the best ODI players around. Media journalists claim. Well, your back's against the wall now. You have to come out in game 2, otherwise you've lost this series, and it's a little bit embarrassing for Pakistan if they lost this series, considering all the players not available for England.
And I just feel, but don't forget that I have been seeing this Pakistani media, and I've been active on the Twitter. They are completely in a different position, because once Pakistan will win this series, they won't be giving too much of credit because it is the England B or C team. Or if they lose this series, they will be getting a complete bashing. I think they will be getting a complete bashing in the entire month, probably.
Well, it would be fair, if Australia, if they're in the same position, if they had a fully strength team against this England team, and if they lost, I'm sure they'd get absolutely criticised back at home, and rightly they should. Same with India, if they had a full strength team, with Virat Kohli leading that team, and they put up a performance like that against England, they would get probably killed in the media. There'd be it'd be a big fallout. So, like I said, luckily it is a three ODI series, so they do have time. But this game 2 is a must win. They have to win this, otherwise it could be a little bit embarrassing for Pakistan.
And prediction?
I think Pakistan will win the series. I'll go 2-1. I just can't see Baba Azam.
If Pakistan will win the series, there is no way the other issue that they can win with 2-1. There's a simple thing, they will win with the 2-1 series. I think if you take my point of view, I will be backing England because they are playing at their home, okay, and they are very difficult team to beat at their home. So that's my prediction. Leave it for today. It's time to wrap the show. Thank you, Lucas, for joining me. It was a pleasure talking with you. Hope we will meet again tomorrow. Thank you guys who have joined us in the show. And just take one more question that Samad Desai has asked, that average score on the pitch was 280 and Pakistan scored half of that, 140. Great pitch to bat on, but the Pakistan batsmen not utilized properly. Yeah, good one, Samad. So it's time to wrap the show. Thank you, Lucas, for coming to the show. Do like the video, guys. Subscribe it, and don't forget to share with your friends. Like it, subscribe it, and share with your friends. It's time to wrap the show. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Lucas. We'll meet you tomorrow, and you can follow me, guys, on the Twitter and the Instagram. I am on with the name of It's Gaurav Ayaan. From both of the IDs, it's Gaurav with the Instagram and Twitter also. Okay, so it's time to wrap the show. Bye, guys. Take care. Bye, Lucas. We'll meet you.
Bye-bye. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Don't forget